Welcome back to another tutorial on Microsoft Excel. When we start using our systems, we are all glued to our mouse to perform most of our operations. But switching between the mouse and the keyboard can be a little strenuous. Here, the keyboard shortcut keys come to our rescue. These keys are a combination of several keys or sequence of keys that is used to execute a specific command. In other words, these keys are used to expedite your operations in Excel. While you may already be aware of a few simple shortcut keys like Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and Ctrl S, there are many such keys that can be used in saving time while performing your day-to-day operations in Excel. This is Trisha Jaktiani, and in this tutorial, I will cover the 30 most essential shortcut keys in Excel that can make your work simpler and fun. Now I'm going to take you through all the shortcut keys on my example sheet. Let's look at my example sheet here, where I have the list of the employee details given you. Now let's say the first example here I have is if I have moved away from my database somewhere in the middle of the database like this, it would be very, very difficult for me to scroll it back to the top. I would use my mouse to scroll to the top, and that might take a very long time. In order to scroll back to the first cell on the database, I can use the shortcut key Ctrl and Home. This will take me to the beginning of the worksheet. That is when I say A1, which is the first cell of the worksheet. Similar to Ctrl Home, the other shortcut key is Ctrl End. This will take me to the end of the used portion of the worksheet. So when I say used portion, that means where I have entered some data, it will take me till that portion. So you can see that the last cell where the data is available is in H102. So as soon as I press Ctrl and End from my keyboard, it takes me to the last cell on that worksheet. The next three that I'm going to cover is the simpler one, which is part of the formatting, which is bold, italic, and underline. If you want to use a shortcut key for bold, the shortcut key for bold is very simple. It's Ctrl and B. So when I do Ctrl and B, you can see that the cell which I had selected, and then I press Ctrl and D from my keyboard, that text in that particular cell has been converted into the bold font. And here you can also see that your B is been highlighted in the font area. So this is how you can use the shortcut key to convert your text into the bold font. Similar to that, you have italic and underline. Where you want to change your font to italic, you can use Ctrl and I. It will change it to italic, and Ctrl U will add an underline to your text in the cell which you have selected and used a keyboard shortcut key. The next one that we have on the list is how do you strike through the selection. So if you decide to strike all the text which is there in that particular cell, you can use the keyboard shortcut Control and the number 5. This will strike through the whole text that is there in that particular cell. The best part about the Control and 5 shortcut key is that you can actually strike through only the selected area of that cell. So let's say if I say this is an Excel tutorial, this is my full sentence in one of the cells, but I only want to strike out Excel from this particular sentence or the text which is in this cell. So I will select only Excel and I'll press Ctrl and 5 from my keyboard and press enter. Only the word Excel will be striked out from this particular sentence. In order to open a new workbook, you can use the shortcut key Ctrl and N. This will open the new workbook, a blank workbook in Excel. The next one that we have here, how do you select the last cell in a particular row or a column? So let's say I'm sitting in the first row of the column C. I want to see which is the last row or where the last row where the data is. I can use the shortcut key Control and down arrow key to take me to the last cell where the data is available. But you will have to be mindful here that if there was any blank cell in the middle, if I try to use Control and End, it will stop just above the cell which is empty. So this is how it will only take you to the cell just one above the empty cell. So the Control and End key. Similar to this Control and End key, when you are at the last cell and you want to go to the top cell in that same column, you can use Control and up arrow key, which will take you to the first cell in that particular column. Similar to that, if you're in the middle of the database and you want to go to the first column in that particular row, you can use the keyboard shortcut key, which is Home. Just Home will take you to the first column in that row or in the row, in the reference row of the cell that you have selected. If you want to select the last cell in the same row, you can go to Control and right arrow key, which will take you to the last cell in the same row. Now let's say you're performing a function like a sum function or a count function. You want to select the whole list of range. Now selecting a range, you might want to use it by using the mouse by selecting the first cell and then you drag it down till the end to select the whole range. Instead of doing that, you can use the shortcut key Ctrl Shift and down arrow key. So if you press Control and then Shift, so you select the first cell and then Control Shift and down arrow key to go to the last cell where the data is. What will it do? It will select the whole range from the start where you have first selected the cell, and then once you press Control Shift and down, it will go till the end, but it will select all the cells in between as well. So the whole range is selected. So this is very useful when you're performing any functions like sum, count, or any other function like VLOOKUP where you have to select the whole database. This could be a very useful keyboard shortcut key. Similar to Control Shift and down, you can also select the last cell, and if you want to go till the top one or you want to select the whole range from bottom to the top, you can do Control Shift and up arrow key. This will take you to the top cell or the cell just below the empty cell. Again, the same rule applies here. If there is any empty cell in the middle, Excel will stop there. What if you want to select a row or a column? In order to do that, let's say if you want to select the reference row of the cell that I have selected. The cell that I have selected is J10. The row here is 10 and column here is J. I want to select the row of this reference cell. In order to do that, I can use the keyboard shortcut key Shift and spacebar. Once I do that, it will automatically select the whole row for me. Here, I do not have to use the mouse to go back and select the whole row. Similar to that, if I select that same cell and now if I want to select the column, I can use Control and spacebar to select the reference column to that cell. Now that you know how to select a particular row or the column, sometimes we are selecting this column or a row because we need to add a new row or a column just before that column or a row, or you want to delete that particular column or a row. So we will see what is the shortcut keys for doing both the things. So if I am in the cell and I'm selecting the row and I want to add a new row just above row 10, I can use the keyboard shortcut key Ctrl Shift and plus key. This will add a new row just above the row that I have selected. Similar to this, if I want to add new column just before I or just before H, let's say, I'm going to select H10 and then use Control and spacebar, which will select the whole column for me, and then I'll do Control Shift and plus to add new column just before the column I. Now let's say if I want to delete this particular column or row, if I want to delete the column, I'll select that particular row from which I want to select the column. So for selecting the column, it's Control and spacebar. Once I've selected the column, I can use Control and minus key or the hyphen key from your keyboard to delete that particular column. Similar to that, if you want to delete the row, you select the row by using Shift and spacebar and Control and hyphen key to delete that particular row from the sheet. Now that we have already seen how do you select and delete a particular cell or a particular row or a column, let's move ahead and see if you had to not delete a particular row or a column, but you had to just hide it in order to not to be seen for the receiver. In order to do that, I will select the cell again, which I want the X cell to hide that particular row or a column. I will select the cell. Let's say I want to hide the row 10 from the database. I will select anywhere in that row, any column in that row. So I'm selecting H10 and here I will use the keyboard shortcut key Control and 9. Control and 9 hides the reference row of the selected cell. If you look at this row which this particular cell belongs to, the row is 10 and hence as soon as I do Control and 9 from the keyboard, it automatically hides that row 10. Similar to that, if I wanted to hide the column, the same reference column, I can do Control and 0. That will hide the reference column of that particular cell. So Control 0 and Control 9. Control 0 for hiding the column of that particular cell and Control 9 to hide the row of that particular cell. Another thing that you can do, or the similar part which we have already seen, how you add a new row or a column by selecting it. Another simpler way to do that is by using another shortcut key to insert a new row of that particular cell. I'll go back and undo the previous one. I'll select the cell, the reference row of which where I want to add a new row. So let's say I want to add a new row just about row 10. In that case, I'll select the whole row. How do I select the whole row? Shift and spacebar. Instead of doing Control Shift and plus, this time I'll do Alt I and R. So if I do Alt I and R, it will automatically add a new row for me. Again, I had shown you how to select the whole row and add the new row, but with Alt I and R, it is even more simpler because even if you do not select the whole row, Excel still allows you to add the row because as per the shortcut key Alt and I and R, I'm telling Excel to insert a new row. So instead of even selecting the whole row, I will just stay in the cell, the reference row of which I want to select and add a new row. And then let's say I want to add a new row just above the row 12. So I'll select any column in row 12 and then do Alt I and R. This will add a new row just above the row 12. Now you can see that this row 12 has moved to row 13 and a new row is added just above that, which is a blank row. Similar to that, you can add a new column or insert a new column by using the Alt I and C. So if I decide to add a new column just before G, I can do Alt I and C. Alt I C. This will let me add a new column just before column H. The next one, I'm going to move a little ahead to see how do we use the paste special command or a shortcut key to the paste special command. We have already seen how do you use the paste special. In order to use the paste special, what do? Is we select the cells which we want to copy, go to the place where we want to paste it, go on to the paste box. Under the paste box, we select the paste special and then use the values and say OK in order to paste these values only. Now you will see when you open the paste special box, there are some text or some characters that are being underlined. For formulas, if you want to paste only formulas, you can press F in this box and it will take you to that formulas. If you press V from this box, it will take you to values. Same goes with every other paste data that you want to do from this list. You can select that particular underlined alphabet from that list. Now that you have understood here, now I'll go back and show you how you can use the shortcut key to paste the values. You can use Alt, E, S. Here it will open the paste special dialog box. From this box, like I mentioned earlier, you can use or press the particular alphabet which you want to paste. In our case, we want to paste values, so I'm going to select V and then press enter. I do not need to even use the mouse to select OK. So this is how you use the paste special. Alt E S to open the paste special dialog box, and from there the particular alphabet which you want to use or you want to use in the paste special box. We've already seen how do you do a total of a particular data, that is how do you do a sum. In order to perform a sum function, you do is equal to and sum, open the bracket, and then you select the range of cells which you want to add, close the bracket and enter. Here you get the sum. Another way to do that is just go on to the summation box which you can see under the home tab in the ribbon in the editing group. Click on the summation and it automatically picks up all the data just on the above list, the whole range where it finds the number. Now, this summation has a shortcut. Rather than using a mouse to use the summation, you can do Alt and equal to signs together to get this summation box. And the same thing will apply where it will do a sum, select the whole range on the above list, and that is how the sum is done. Now, we have already seen how do we perform filters in Excel. Now, in order to add the filter, what do? Is we go on to the database where you want to add the filters. Click on the data from your ribbon and then click on filters from there. Instead of doing that, you can use the keyboard shortcut key. Keep your cursor anywhere in the database and use Alt D F F. So Alt D as in Delta, F as in Frank, F as in Frank will open or add the filter to your database. You can use the Alt D F F again to remove the filter from the database. It is as simple as that. The next one that we have on the list is about your Excel spreadsheet. How do you move or navigate through your Excel spreadsheet? If you want to go to the next spreadsheet or move to the right of the spreadsheet, how will you do that? Is use the Control and page down key, which will take you to the next sheet on the right. Keep using page down, Control and page down to go to the next sheet on the right. Similarly, if you want to go to the next sheet on the left hand side, you can use Control page up and it will take you to the next sheet on the left hand side. Now, in order to add a new worksheet on your Excel workbook, you can right click on the spreadsheet that you have selected and then click on insert. From the insert dialog box, select the work and click on OK. This will have you insert your worksheet. But instead of using that, you can also use the keyboard shortcut key Shift and F11 key. Now, when I'm saying Shift and F11 key, the F11 key is there as a function key on your keyboard, which is just next to the Escape key, which is the ESC key. You will find all the keys on the top of your keyboard. It says F1, F2, F3, F4. You do not have to press F and look for number 11 on your keyboard. You have to actually press Shift and F11 together in order to get the new sheet added to your workbook, and that sheet will be added on the left hand side of the selected sheet. So this is how you add a new worksheet using the keyboard shortcut. And the last one, the next one, if I want to open the format cell dialog box, I would select a cell, go on to the home page, and then select the small box on the number group. Once I click on that, the format cell dialog box opens up. But if I want to use the keyboard shortcut, I can select the cell where I want to open the format or make any changes to the format, and then click on Control and 1 keys together in order to open the format cell dialog box. So these are all the shortcut keys that I have shown you today, which are the essential shortcut keys which you can use to make your life simpler, and you can use this in your day-to-day working, which will help you to save time as well as make your work more efficient. Hope you found this useful. Stay tuned for more such useful videos. Thank you.
To know more, follow and subscribe to upGrad.